What criminal committed an almost perfect crime, and what was the thing that messed it up?
Guy Fawkes. Man wanted to boom British Parliament House during a party or celebration to maximize targets. For this plot, he included somebody who had a relative attending the party. This man told his relative, "Yo fam, we gonna blow this thing sky high. Don't come to school." This led to authorities foiling the plot.
Joseph James D'Angelo, otherwise known as the Golden State Killer, the East Area Rapist, and the Visalia Ransacker. The guy was a one-man crime wave. In a 12-year period, he committed at least 13 murders, 51 rapes, and 120 burglaries. As the East Area Rapist, he would often select his targets months in advance, conduct extensive reconnaissance, learning the routines of the occupants, and sometimes break in advance of his attack to plant his weapons and ligatures, and he would make threatening or hang-up calls in advance to create a sense of fear. I won't go into details about his attacks, but he had a whole routine and everything that he would go through. And even though the sketches of him were near enough accurate, and the criminal profile of him was dead on accurate. For example, they correctly identified the attacker as working or having worked in law enforcement and the military, and Joseph James D'Angelo was a police officer at the time of his crime spree. They never even came close to finding him. When he was arrested, it was the first time he had ever come to the attention of the police. He didn't even have any DNA on file for them to match when that became a thing. That was how good he was at staying off the radar. The reason he got caught? Genealogical testing. You know those test kits that people get from services such as 23andMe and Ancestry. Well, the police ran the DNA samples through a database used by those services and identified his relatives. They eventually found someone closely related enough to him that they could identify him. So he hadn't even submitted his DNA for testing. One of his relatives did. The guy must have been so shocked when the police showed up at his door.
In 1995, Mark Winger of Springfield, Illinois wanted to kill his wife, Donna, if I recall correctly, so he could carry on an affair, and the perfect scenario came. A week before her death, Roger Harrington was her shuttle driver on the way home from the St. Louis airport, and he reportedly spoke about always getting high and having orgies. In turn, the Wingers complained to the shuttle company. Then, Mark calls the police claiming that he shot Roger after he caught him attacking Donna. Despite the contradiction of Roger being shot in a way that Mark did not claim happened, the case was shut, and Mark was viewed as a hero for killing the man who killed his wife. However, in his infinite wisdom, Mark wouldn't stop asking the police about the case, despite it being ruled as closed. Also, he tried to sue the shuttle company for Roger's alleged action, to which the company started their own investigation, which showed that the events couldn't have gone the way Mark described. The final nail came when his affair partner came forward to the police and described their affair, which led to further re-examination of evidence that showed it was staged. Mark was later tried and convicted in 2002 and sentenced to life without parole. In another derp moment from Mark, he was later given an extra 35 years for trying to solicit the murder of his affair partner and his rich friend, who refused to bail him out from behind bars. The main piece of evidence being a 19-page handwritten plan for how he wanted the murders to be carried out.
That one dude who robbed a bank by hiring a bunch of people from Craigslist to show up wearing the same outfit he was and wait outside, he would have gotten away, but a homeless man saw him do a practice run the day before, and after the robbery, told the police.
Of all the things that the authorities tried to bust Al Capone for, they finally caught him for income tax evasion.
My nephew, 4 at the time, stole candy from his parents. He almost got away with it. He went to throw the wrappers away in the kitchen so he wouldn't be caught, but he slipped and busted open his chin. Freak accident. No one knows why he slipped. A few hours later, he was happily chatting with the doctor. While he got a few stitches, he showed off to everyone.
Susan Smith, the one who drowned her kids in her car. She claimed it was a carjacking by a black man. No weapon or witnesses. The cops had nothing but her word. It was a simple traffic light that got her. She claimed that her light was red and there were no other cars at the light. That couldn't be true with a controlled signal. If there was no cross traffic, her light would not have been red.
This is a true story that has never been reported before, that I'm aware of. Back in the 70s, when I was in pharmacy school, a guy broke into a pharmacy where I worked by sneaking through a ventilation duct. There were no motion detectors at the time, so it was easy for him to access the narcotics cabinet where all controlled substances were stored. And of course, the key was kept in the cabinet lock, so it wouldn't be misplaced. When the pharmacist opened the door in the morning, he found the guy passed out in front of the cabinet. He wasn't able to resist the temptation to sample his good fortune right on the spot and knocked himself out in the process.
Loeb and Leopold. Two high IQ teenagers in Chicago in the 1920s committed a murder just because they thought they were too clever to be caught. One of them lost a lens from his glasses where they dropped the body, a very rare prescription that led the police right to them.